Hi, this is Trey Pastor. Welcome to my review of Titans Season 2, Episode 6, titled Connor, of course, about Connor, Connor Kent. This review is going to have spoilers, obviously, so be forewarned. And I'm just going to go over some highlights of it and tell you the basic gist of the episode and what happened, in my opinion, about what happened in this. Of course, like I said, we saw last season, in the season finale, uh, how we saw a naked gentleman basically toss some scientists around and basically destroy them. Lots of screaming, lots of gunfire and stuff. And then we see, actually, we get to see Crypto as well. And then, of course, that was a tease to Connor Kent. Okay, and for those who don't read comic books, Connor Kent is a clone of Superman and Lex Luthor. He has both of their DNA, and Canvas is the lab uh, that came up with this experiment for Connor Kent. And Connor Kent has been a member of the Young Justice and stuff in the Titans and stuff in the comics. Okay, so I was looking forward to seeing, when I saw that tease, looking forward to seeing him in this episode, this season. Okay, so we had to wait till episode 6, but what we got, I think, was absolutely fantastic. Um, this episode is mostly focused on him, on Connor, and we get to see his backstory, which is great, and see it play out. And we get to see him from that moment where he where he breaks out and he takes some guards' clothes and he kind of names himself after taking clothes off one guard, and I guess the guard's last name was Connor, and so he decides to adopt that name, and he grabs Crypto and off he goes into the wild world. Okay, to this world unseen that he's never been to, because he's fresh, literally fresh out of the test tube. Okay, and of course we find out we also have now going in this season. I wasn't expecting any, because we hadn't heard about any Lex Luthor sightings or either Superman being cast in this, but their presence is heavily felt in this because, again, like I said, Connor is a clone of both of them, and during this episode he displays traits of both of those characters and stuff. And also we find out we do have somebody that's close to Lex, Mercy Graves, who's always been portrayed as Lex's bodyguard, and protector, and she's in this. And after Connor escapes, uh, she shows up to Canvas Labs, talking to the scientist Eve. I forgot her last name. First name is Eve, and she's the one that basically gave Lex the impetus to mix human DNA with the alien DNA, because apparently Lex was trying to clone Superman all these years, and finally she's the scientist that came up with the plan to mix human genes to balance out the alien genes. And of course, Lex, being Lex, he used his genes because he, of course, he wants to have influence over this clone. Okay, and like I said, we get to see uh, Superboy O'Connor can't interact with the general public, and there's some funny moments in him, like him walking around, like him walking around oblivious to traffic, because, like I said, he's basically a newborn, and they even describe it. I think the scientist Eve even tells Mercy, listen, he's like a newborn baby. He probably has the impulse control of a 2-year-old, but with 2-year-old with superpowers and stuff. So when they set out to go get them, she's gonna have she's bringing all her forces to bear with them. But Eve tells them, listen, whatever you do, don't shoot them, because we need to get them back, and to and learn more and to teach them and all this stuff. But Mercy says, listen, you're gonna go, okay? She said, and of course Eve at first doesn't want to do that, but she says, listen, you sacrificed everything for this. You gave up your family, not having a life, not even a dog, so you get to go with the troops to try to find Connor. Okay, and like I said, we see Connor having flashbacks. We even get to see him do something heroic, something Superman like, rescuing a lady from being mugged. And there's a really funny scene where he's where he actually he goes when he's walking around and he sees the Superman shirt on a display, from a vendor, and he sees it and he kind of wants to get it, and he kind of picks it up, and the vendor tells him, listen, 2 for 25, but he said, you need money for that. He tries to take it. He said, listen, you need money for that. And the vendor snatches it back, and you see him have sort of this flashback. He has a flashback, which is actually a flashback of Lex Luthor being, abused by his father. Okay, so we know that he's having, some sort of memories of Lex's, abusive childhood, and he also has these moments of Clark Kent growing up in Smallville, because we see them we see him walking by a van, and he sees like the cornfields, and he has a memory of playing in the cornfields with his mother, you know, with Martha Kent, which kind of gives him the impetus to go literally to to Kansas to to try to go home, because that's to him, that's home. He recognizes that in his Clark Kent memories, that that's home, and we see him literally got to go home, and we get to actually meet Lionel Luthor, who's not what we not the version that we see in Smallville. In this version, he's an abusive dad, and he's always you know he kind of explains how that he's trying to like not take blame for Lex big turning out the way he is, but Connor he actually invites Connor into his house, where they sit and eat a meal, and he kind of tries to avoid responsibility for it, but Connor is not having it because he has those flashbacks of Lex Luthor, and he's basically forcing Lionel to confront how abusive he was to Lex Luthor growing up, which I thought was a nice touch to the story. And then we get one of the most best action sequences ever, okay, where they actually track Connor down to the Luthor house, and we get to see Connor and all use his powers. And like I said, you get to see him and Crypto, not just him. We get to see him use his super strength, his speed, his X-ray vision. Okay, we get to see him suck up tear gas and spit it back out. We get to see all his powers on display, and he kind of just and we get to see him actually kind of do a mini leap fly thing when he knocks a guy through a wall. Okay, and we see him jump in front of Lionel Luthor, who's about to get shot, and the bullets bounce off him. So that was a great sequence to me. And he actually looks out into the corner. He sees the van where Eve is, where the scientist is, and he actually looks with his X-ray vision, and he goes outside and stops the van from leaving, where Eve is basically explaining to him, listen, I was the one that created you, and there's probably going to be more people coming for you, so because he wants answers, he wants to know who he is and and what he is, and she tells him, listen, we got to go because when the cameras come, they're not going to. They said more likely they're not going to teach you, because he said I wanted to teach you and let you learn about the world and all that stuff, but that's more likely not going to happen. They're probably going to dissect you and try to figure out what went wrong. So they go into a separate adventure. They go off on their own, and she's going to take them, she says, to a cabin that she knows, okay, that nobody knows about, okay. And and another great thing about the character of Eve, the scientist, when we first see her, when she first shows up, she looks like she's hungover, like she was at a party or something, and we get to see her evolution of her character. We think, well, she has no moral center, and she's just like everybody else at Candace, but we actually get to see her evolution of her character, where she feels responsibility, and the scientist part of her wanted to do this experiment with these clones and to see if it actually worked out, but then she told herself that she wanted to be like the moral center to give this clone, teach it values and stuff, because she knew with Lex Luthor around, it probably wouldn't have a chance to have any morals or any character, basically. So she actually takes him back to Camden Labs in a shut down facility in Camden, where he was actually created, okay, in San Francisco. And she says, well, you wanted answers, so the answers are behind that door, and you're probably the only one that can literally rip that door through and see. But she says, you're probably not going to like what you see. And Crypto's kind of barking, saying not to do it. But he says, I got to find the answers. And he literally rips the door off, and he goes and he sees the various experiments around, and the various clones, the failed experiments, and you see him snap for a minute, and he rushes out and he grabs Eve by the throat, where he's choking her, and then he kind of catches himself and apologizes, and she tells him, listen, you got to have a chance, because you can't stay here, you can't he said you got to stay low, you're not. She basically tells him, listen, you got a choice going forward, okay, you're not Superman and you're not Lex Luthor. You got to be your own individual self and make your own smart decisions. And she basically tells you got to be careful and not draw too much attention to yourself. But you got to, decisions on your own. You have to take things as they are, and not think about how Lex would do it or how Superman do it, and judge it from yourself. Okay, so which I thought was good advice. And she said, "Listen, they're coming." She hears them coming. She said, "You got to go." And off he goes. He escapes with Krypto, and then Mercy comes in, and she used to bluff him and say, "Listen, he forced me to bring me back here and show him and stuff," and they tuck off, and Mercy's not having it. She says, "You know what? I'm going to do it my way now." And you see her load her gun with kryptonite bullets. Okay, and then this actually picks up where the last episode of Titans begins, where you see Connor walking down the street, and we see the scaffolding that Jason Todd was hanging from in the previous episode after Deathstroke had put him up there. And you see the scaffolding fall down, and Connor looks up and he sees Jason literally hanging for his life, and we see him slip again. And then we see Connor do a super leap. He bounces off a bunch of cars and leaps up and grabs Jason in midair and falls back down and crashes on the car. Him taking the full brunt of it, of course. And Jason, is grateful, said, "Thank you. I don't know who you are, but thank you." And Connor says, "Yeah." And he says, and they basically have this little nice interaction before he literally gets shot. You see a two shot, bang, bang, and he gets down, and you see him slump down on the car, and then that's when Dick and Corey come out, and they see what's happening, and then the episode ends like that. And this, again, was a really good episode. The actor, I think his name is Joshua, I forget his name, but the actor they chose to play Connor Kent is absolutely, he did a fantastic job, because you felt all his emotions, this being this new guy in the world and stuff, his wonder and his anger, his Lex Luthor moments, his Superman moments, his heroic moments. We got a perfect mix of all of that, and we got little flashes to remind us that he is the clone of Lex Luthor, and a clone of Superman. So he has those heroic moments, and he has those moments of anger, like Lex. So, which I think they did a really good job with the script for this episode, and the actor Joshua, I forgot his last name, but he did a really good job, and I can't wait to see him, hopefully going forward in this show, and see how his interaction with the Titans and stuff. We just got that little bit of tease of them interacting at the end, but we know a lot of people are speculating that he would be the one to save Jason Todd, and he was actually, because I know some people thought, and I thought at first that Starfire was going to fly and catch him, but then it makes sense that Connor would be the one, because the next episode was Connor, and we know Connor can leap. I think in some instances he can fly, but we know he can do super leap, and that's what he did in this episode. He did like the super leap thing and caught Jason before he went splat. So anyway, let me know what you think of Titans episode 6 titled Connor. What do you think of it? I loved it. Feel free to leave comments down below and let me know what you think. I have links to my social media in the description box: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I also have a link to my other channel called Views and Opinions, so you check that out as well. Also, they're going to be next episode's titled Bruce Wayne, so I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that they maybe they're going to reach out, the Titans, to Bruce Wayne to find out how to save Connor, because he's got hit with 2 kryptonite bullets. And the only other bad thing was that you saw him get taken off in a kryptonite collar, so of course he's helpless. But I think they are probably going to contact Bruce about saving Connor, and maybe Connor can learn more about Clark Kent, the real person from Bruce. I think so. You never know. I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave those comments down below. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.